All right, let's just get right into it. If you're learning Japanese, there's that one nagging question that's probably always in the back of your mind. How long is this actually going to take? It's a huge and honestly a really frustrating question. But what if I told you the answer isn't about the clock at all? It's about the compass. It's about having the right strategy. And that's what we're breaking down today. A real strategic roadmap to help you get fluent faster.
So, here's the game plan. We've got a 6-part roadmap to guide you. We'll kick things off with that need for speed. Then, we'll get into why a smart strategy is so much better than any shortcut. After that, it's all about building a solid foundation, hacking your memory for kanji, yes, really, and then we'll talk about the daily habits that keep the engine running. And finally, we'll put it all together into your personal roadmap to fluency.
Okay, so let's tackle that elephant in the room, right? The time. Learning Japanese can feel like you're staring up at this massive mountain, and you're not even sure where to start climbing. And look, the truth is, the timeline is going to be different for everybody. It all depends on why you're learning. Is it for a trip, for your career, or hey, maybe you just want to watch your favorite anime without subtitles? All totally valid reasons.
And these are the real questions people ask all the time. There's this genuine anxiety, this fear that you're going to pour in years and years of work and still not be able to order a coffee confidently. It's a totally understandable feeling to have when you're starting out, but it's also kind of the wrong question to be asking in the first place. And here's the big shift in thinking we need to make. It's time to stop looking at the calendar and start looking at the map. The secret to learning Japanese fast isn't about hitting some magic number of months or years. It's about having a solid, smart, efficient plan from day one. A plan that actually points you in the right direction. Which brings us to the heart of this whole thing. True speed, real acceleration, doesn't come from finding some secret hack or skipping the boring parts. No way. It comes from adopting a superior strategy, one that makes every single minute you study actually count. It's the classic, work smarter, not harder. And I love this quote because it just cuts right through all the noise. It sounds like a paradox, doesn't it? But it is so, so true. You want to go fast later? You have to slow down and be really deliberate right now. The fastest way to the top is to build a solid foundation, not try to take some rickety shortcut that's just going to collapse on you.
So, what does this unbreakable foundation actually look like? Well, think about it. Before you can even dream of reading your favorite manga or catching all the dialogue in a movie, you've got to learn the absolute fundamentals. And in Japanese, that means getting the writing systems down cold. These are the absolute non-negotiable first steps.
It really breaks down into 2 main pillars. Pillar 1, you've got to master Hiragana and Katakana. These are the 2 basic phonetic alphabets, the absolute building blocks for everything else. Pillar 2, conquer the core vocabulary, kanji, and grammar of what's called the JLPT N5 level. Now, JLPT is just the standard proficiency test, and N5 is the very first milestone. Think of it as your base camp on the mountain. You have to get there first.
And get this, that first part, the alphabets, it doesn't have to take you months. Our source material lays out this awesome, super motivating goal. With just 30 minutes of focused studying a day, you can get a solid handle on both Hiragana and Katakana in 1 week. Seriously, that's a huge achievable win to get you started and build momentum.
Now for that second pillar, the JLPT N5 stuff. I know that sounds super intimidating, right? But let's look at what it actually is. We're talking about 103 of the most essential kanji characters and around 80 core grammar patterns. When you see the actual numbers, it's not so scary. It becomes a concrete, manageable target. This is what you're aiming for.
Okay, so you've got your alphabets down. Now, it's time to talk about the big one. The one that makes a lot of people just want to quit before they even start. Kanji. Trying to memorize thousands of these complex characters feels impossible, right? But what if it's not about brute force memorization? What if it's about using a system? Let's talk about how we can use technology to literally hack our own brains. That system has a name. It's called a spaced repetition system, or SRS for short. And this isn't some study gimmick. It's based on actual science about how our brains forget things. Basically, an SRS algorithm figures out the exact moment you're about to forget a word, and then it shows it to you again. By doing that over and over, it basically forces that information from your short-term memory into your long-term memory. It's brilliant.
And this chart just shows you everything you need to know. Look at cramming. You study like crazy, and a week later, poof, most of it's gone. So inefficient. But look at SRS. Because it's smart about when it shows you stuff for review, your long-term retention goes through the roof. You're not just memorizing for a quiz, you're actually building knowledge that sticks.
And so many great modern apps are built entirely around this idea. They're not just dumb flashcards, they're smart. They'll ping you at that perfect golden time to review something. They'll track how well you know each character on, like, a 5-level scale. Some even have little games to practice writing. It takes this huge, scary task of learning kanji and makes it efficient, structured, and honestly, kind of fun.
But look, having a brilliant system like SRS is only half of it. You can have a Ferrari engine, but if you don't put any gas in the tank, it's just a really expensive piece of metal sitting in your driveway. The fuel for language learning is consistency, daily practice. So now we're shifting from the tools you use to the habits you build.
And this is the simple, kind of brutal truth of learning any new skill, isn't it? If you don't use it, you lose it. Our source actually shared a story about how, after living in the US as a kid, she almost completely forgot her English when she moved back to Japan because she just stopped using it. A language isn't just something you learn once and then you're done. It's a muscle. You have to keep working it out.
So what does using it actually mean in practice? It boils down to two things: input and output. The recommended balance is something like 60% input, so that's reading and listening, and 40% output, that's actively speaking and writing. If you get this balance wrong, it can be a major speed killer.
Think of input as building up a giant library in your brain. You're filling the shelves with knowledge from textbooks, apps, podcasts, anime, all of it. But all that knowledge just sits on the shelf until you use it. And that's output. So don't just read a grammar rule. Try to write a few sentences with it. Don't just watch anime. Try to repeat a few lines out loud. Output is what takes that passive knowledge and turns it into an active skill you can actually use. And now for maybe the most encouraging number in this entire breakdown: 15. That's it. You don't need to block out hours and hours every day. The real key is just being relentlessly consistent. Seriously, 15 focused minutes every single day is 1,000,000 times more powerful than cramming for 3 hours on a Sunday. Just build that daily habit. Don't break the chain. All right, let's recap. We've laid the foundation. We've got our memory hacking system installed. We've filled the tank with our daily fuel. Now let's put all the pieces together and see what this roadmap to fluency actually looks like when you put it into practice. Now, obviously, this isn't a rigid guarantee. Everyone's a little different, but it's a realistic projection of what's possible if you stick with the strategy. In just 3 months, you could be having basic conversations. After 6 months, you could be totally comfortable with that entire N5 level we talked about. And within a year, you could be confidently starting to tackle the next stage, N4. It is totally doable. So if that's the path to success, what are the things that will totally derail you? Well, here are the big speed killers to avoid at all costs. Inconsistency, that's enemy number 1. Cramming instead of using a smart review system. Being afraid of kanji and avoiding it. Having that input/output balance all out of whack. And of course, skipping the foundation. That's like building a skyscraper on sand. Just don't do it. And really, that's what it all comes down to. Learning Japanese fast isn't about one giant heroic leap. It's not about finding some magic shortcut. It's the result of a smart strategy combined with all those small, consistent steps day in and day out. They just add up, they compound, and before you know it, you'll look back and you won't believe how far you've come. So there you have it. The roadmap is right here in front of you. Your journey from beginner to speaker doesn't start someday or next week. It starts right now with whatever you do next. So the only question I have for you is, what's your first step going to be?